The saloon doors slammed shut behind her, and for a moment the entire room went silent. She stood framed in the glow of lantern light, her face half hidden beneath the brim of a weathered bonnet. But it wasn't the dust on her dress or the dirt on her boots that drew every eye. It was the scar, running from the edge of her brow, cutting across her cheek, and trailing toward her jaw. It caught the light like a pale flame, then whispered. Cards paused midair. One woman near the piano crossed herself. "Best keep moving, girl," the barkeep muttered without looking up, polishing a glass he had no intention of serving her with. She did move, but not toward the door. She walked straight-backed and silent across the creaking floorboards to the counter. "Water," she said, voice low but steady. The barkeep's lip curled. "Ain't no charity here. You want water, pumps outside. Don't bring your kind through my doors." Her hand tightened on the strap of the satchel hanging at her side. For a heartbeat, she seemed like she might spit back words sharp enough to cut. Instead, she turned on her heel and walked out into the cold night air, the whispers following her like smoke. Out on the porch, a pair of cowboys chuckled. "Ain't she a sight? Shame of a face like that." She froze, jaw set, eyes narrowing. One step closer from them, and her hand drifted near the knife at her belt. That's when another voice cut through the tension. "Best watch your tongues," a man drawled from the hitching post where he was tightening the reins on a chestnut mare. "Scar don't make her less. Means she's lived through something you wouldn't." The two cowboys scoffed but said nothing more. The girl turned her eyes toward the stranger. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with the calm poise of someone who'd carried more than his share of weight. His hat was tipped low, but even in the half-shadow his gaze was steady, seeing her, not the scar. She studied him for a long beat, unreadable. Then she said softly, "And you are?" He touched the brim of his hat. "Just a cowboy passing through." But in the quiet that followed, something unspoken bound them. Two souls marked by the world, colliding on a dusty street under a watchful moon. From behind them, footsteps echoed, deliberate, heavy, and coming closer. The footsteps belonged to Sheriff Canning, a man whose badge gleamed brighter than the kindness in his eyes. He stepped down off the porch, boots crunching gravel, and stopped beside the scarred young woman. "You again," he said flatly. "Told you last week. You're not welcome in town. Don't stir up trouble." Her jaw stiffened. "I didn't stir anything. Just wanted a drink." The sheriff didn't even glance at the men who'd mocked her. Instead, his gaze slid toward the cowboy at the hitching post. "You best not get yourself mixed up in her mess, stranger. She's nothing but bad luck." The cowboy's eyes narrowed. He didn't speak right away. The silence stretched, weighty, dangerous. He could have walked away, could have left her to her fate. But there was something in her stance, something unbroken despite the stares and the whispers, that kept him rooted. "What's her crime?" he asked evenly. "Crime enough being born with that mark," Canning said. "Superstition or not, folks don't want her around. Brings sickness, drought, and worse." The girl's hands balled into fists. Her voice broke, but only slightly. "I saved this town once. When fever took the children, I carried medicine through the canyon in the dead of night. But they remember only the scar, not the salvation." Her words hung in the air like gun smoke. The cowboy looked from her to the sheriff, then back again. In that moment his choice lay clear: step aside and let the world grind her down, or put himself between her and the weight of it. "I don't reckon scars curse a soul," he said, his voice low, steel in it now. "Scars prove survival, and survival's worth more than superstition." The sheriff's eyes chilled. "Then you've made your stand, cowboy. But standing with her means standing against this town." The girl's gaze flicked to him. Something fragile and dangerous in it. Hope. Behind them, voices were already rising from the saloon. Rumors spreading. Anger brewing. The cowboy touched the brim of his hat. "So be it. And as he led her away from the porch, a shadow stirred at the far end of the street, men gathering, rifles catching the moonlight. "You shouldn't have spoken," she whispered as they walked toward the edge of town, her voice taut as a drawn bowstring. He glanced at her. "Shouldn't or wouldn't?" She swallowed, clutching her satchel tighter. "They'll come for you now. They'll come for us both." The sound of hooves thundered faintly in the distance, riders leaving the saloon, spreading word, riling up others. Shadows flickered in lamplight as windows opened, shutters banged, and whispers turned into pointed glares. "You got a name?" he asked. She hesitated. "Clara." He gave a small nod. "I'm Eli." Their pace quickened. He could feel the pressure building behind them, like a storm rolling down off the mountains. By the time they reached the outskirts, a group of mounted men appeared, blocking the road. Lanterns swayed, rifles gleamed, voices hardened. "There she is," one spat. "Which girl and her new protector?" Eli stepped forward, hand resting casually near the butt of his Colt. "No call to raise guns on a woman," the leader sneered. "No call to defend her either, unless you're cursed the same." Clara's voice rang out sharp. "You blame me for every ill, but it's your own fear that poisons you." The men stirred, uneasy, muttering. The leader raised his rifle. Enough talk. In the brittle silence that followed, Eli's thumb brushed the revolver's hammer. He knew the odds. 6 shots against 10 rifles. No chance. But if they meant to hurt Clara, they'd have to bleed him first. "Careful," he warned. "One wrong move and this street runs red." A standoff stretched, taut as wire ready to snap. Clara's breath shuddered beside him. The night pressed in, holding its own breath. Then in the distance the sound of more hoofbeats, fast, relentless. Another party riding in. Whether friend or foe, neither of them could yet tell. They fled while the riders argued among themselves, slipping into the dark beyond the town's edge. The desert spread before them, vast, silent, cold under the blanket of stars. Eli found them shelter in an abandoned line shack. He lit a small fire, the orange glow carving shadows across Clara's scarred face. For the first time, he really looked at her. Not just a mark. The eyes beneath it, fierce, aching, beautiful. She caught him staring and turned away. "Don't pretend it doesn't bother you." "It doesn't," he said simply. Her laugh was hollow. "You wouldn't be the first man to lie about that." He reached into his coat, pulled out a worn silver locket, and set it in her hand. Inside was a faded picture of a woman, her smile sweet and alive. "My wife," he said quietly. "Taken by cholera 2 winters back. Folks in her family said I should have done more, that it was my fault she died. Sometimes people need someone to blame. Doesn't make it true." Clara traced the picture with trembling fingers, then closed the locket gently. "You still carry her with you." "Always will," he said. "But carrying ain't the same as living. I think maybe you know that better than most." The silence stretched warm now, not heavy. She shifted closer to the fire, her eyes softening. "You don't look at me like the others do." He leaned back against the wall, gaze steady on hers. "I don't see a scar, Clara. I see a woman strong enough to outlast everything thrown her way. That's all I see." Something flickered in her expression, something breaking open, something fragile turning fierce. For the first time in years, her shoulders loosened, the weight of scorn easing just slightly. But outside, faint voices carried on the wind. The town wasn't finished with her yet. And neither was the sheriff. By dawn, riders surrounded the shack. Sheriff Canning's voice boomed through the cold air. "Bring her out, Eli. You're a stranger here. You don't know what she's done to us. Hand her over and you can walk away free." Eli stepped outside, Colt drawn, his stance unyielding. "You want her, you'll have to shoot me first." The sheriff sneered. "She's cursed, Cowboy. Your blood'll prove it." But Clara pushed past Eli, her voice ringing clear. "No curse. Just me. And if you can't bear the sight of me, then end it now." but you'll never wash away the truth that I carried medicine for your children when none of you would ride that canyon." The crowd wavered, uneasy. Mothers remembered fevers broken, fathers remembered children saved, murmurs rippled. Doubt sped like cracks through stone. Eli's voice cut through. "A scar don't make a witch, but hate? Hate'll damn a town faster than any mark on a face." The sheriff raised his rifle, finger tightening. For one breathless second, it seemed death would answer. Then an older woman stepped forward, gray-haired, trembling. "She saved my boy. Without her, he'd be in the ground." Another voice joined. Then another. The tide turned. Guns lowered. The sheriff stood alone, his authority crumbling. With a curse, he mounted his horse and rode off, fury trailing him like dust. The crowd dispersed slowly, shame heavy in their eyes. Clara stood in the wreckage of years of hatred, trembling. Eli holstered his gun and turned to her. "It's over," he said softly. Her voice cracked. "No, it's beginning." He reached for her hand, rough palm closing over her trembling fingers. "Then let it begin with me. Clara, if you'll have it, I'll give you my name. Not to hide your scar, but so the world knows you've got someone standing beside you." Her eyes filled, the scar glowing faint in dawn's first light. "You do that? After all this?" "I would," he said, "because when I look at you, Clara, you're the only one I see." Years later, when the town had forgotten its cruelty, when Clara wore her scar with pride, the story would be told different. Children would say the scarred woman healed them, and the cowboy who claimed her name built a life with her worth more than gold. And on quiet evenings, their ranch bathed in sunset, Eli would watch her from the porch, the locket still near his heart, and know he'd chosen right. Final shot line, a scarred face turned toward the horizon, hand clasped in another's, the rising sun gilding them in gold.